Hi, welcome to Money Mastery with Dee Dee. Today's topic is, can you get more? Pennies from heaven, we're looking for them. They're not falling any longer. With the stimulus bills that have been passed in 2020 and 2021, you might wonder, did you get all the money that you should have? Did you get all that you were entitled to? And if you didn't, what happens? And what if you got some and you didn't think you earned it? Oh my gosh, it does get really crazy. So today we're going to walk through some of the issues around the stimulus money, specifically as it relates to filing your 2020 taxes. So without further ado, let's jump in on this topic. So it's tax season right now. It's middle of March. We're having fun in my tax world. We are just a bunch of one-armed paper hangers or something. That's probably offensive to somebody. If it is, my apologies. In any case, some people actually look forward to tax season. A lot of times that's the folks who are due refunds each year. But most folks sort of look at tax season as a necessary evil, or even sometimes with dread. But there's other folks who never have to file taxes for different reasons. Their income is too low. The way their income arrives in the form of government benefits just isn't taxed. So those are some folks who might want to consider filing taxes this year, especially if they didn't get the full stimulus. So remember, 3 rounds of stimulus. The first one was $1,200 a person. That was back second quarter of 2020, depended on how the money came to you, when exactly you got it. The second one was $600 per person that arrived in 2021, generally in January. And now, not yet signed off by the House or signed by the president as we record this, is a third round of stimulus that's $1,400 per person. Hope I have that right. Yeah. To round out that last round of stimulus to $2,000. Okay. Each of these has slightly different rules. Each of them clearly has different timing, but they can all tie into the 2020 taxes. How do they tie in, Dee Dee, you might ask? Well, let's jump into that as well. If you haven't been filing and you didn't get the stimulus, 2020 is the time to file your taxes. It's going to be informational. If your income's below $72,000, you can do it for free on the IRS free file website. But what that would do is get you in the system, demonstrate your eligibility to the IRS, give you the ability to add your direct deposit information, and then they can send out the stimulus money to you that you were entitled to. How long will it take to get it? The IRS is saying right now that anybody who files should be getting their refund in about 21 days, which honestly isn't too bad given everything else that's going on. What if you got partial stimulus? Well, by filing your taxes for 2020, you can establish your eligibility. Lots and lots of people had high income in 2019. That's what the original stimulus was based upon. But in 2020, no big surprise, their income dropped, moving them into eligibility categories or eligible at a higher payment rate. Those folks, it would pay for them to file their taxes as well. There's a reconciliation, we'll get into that in a minute, on that form. And again, they can get that through the tax refund process. So real important for those folks to take care of that. Now, the next round of stimulus is going to be based on whatever the most recent tax filing that you have on file at the IRS. So it's real important that you and perhaps your tax preparer look at the income levels between 2020 and 2021. If one of them is significantly lower than the other one, that's the one you want to be the last return on file at the IRS. So for some folks, they could have had a low year when I'm saying 20 and 21, that's filing dates. It's tax years 2019 and 2020. If your income dropped a lot in 2020, file sooner. If you're in one of those industries where your income actually went up, and they do exist, you may want to hold off until later in the filing season so that you're still eligible for that stimulus money. And that goes for this new round of stimulus as well. They're just going to look at what the most recent one is. So I'd call this tax judo. Look at the relative income between tax year 2019, tax year 2020. Whichever one is lower, let that be the most recent tax filing with the IRS. Now, don't be late on filing your taxes, but I don't think it's going to take that long for them to start processing this third round. Based on the most recent information available, they're likely pass that law tomorrow in the House, and it should be signed into law by this weekend, which is the Ides of March. So based on that timeline, the IRS said they should be starting to distribute payments 2 weeks after that, within 2 weeks, as short as a week after that. So pretty impressive that they can do this, especially when you consider in that same bill, there are other changes to the tax law. The IRS is going to have to rejigger some things. We are also in a shortened tax season. We started filing a couple weeks later than normal, so it's compressed down. And the IRS is still trying to catch up from last year's tax season. So if they actually can make good on that process, that's pretty impressive. I think the IRS is really bearing a lot of the brunt of the COVID fiscal response, if you will. So what do you mean file a return, Dee Dee, and get money back? Well, if you discover that your income is lower in 2020 than it was in 2019, and that you're eligible for higher stimulus money amounts, there is a single line on the return this year, line 30, which connects to a big form that will calculate for you how much more you are entitled to. And it's pretty simple. If you're doing taxes with TurboTax or you're working with a preparer, you drop the amounts in for what you've already received, because of course you already know how much from the other stimulus disbursements that you've gotten. You drop that in and it'll calculate for you. A couple things. The stimulus money coming directly to you could not be garnished by creditors. It could not be withheld to pay back child support, but asking for the additional stimulus money through your tax return doesn't have those same protections. Just a little quirk of the law, probably with the IRS making all these other changes, it was asking an awful lot to make that happen. But it's called the Recovery Rebate Credit on line 30, and there is a worksheet that you would walk through to figure this out. If you get stimulus money, does that change your tax situation? Well, just a reminder, you've probably heard this before, but it bears repeating. The stimulus money is not taxable income to anyone. And in most cases, if you get the money and maybe it was more than you were entitled to, there's no obligation to return it. It's like, good luck for you. Nicely done situation. There are situations where you need to return it. I highly recommend, if you're in doubt, Google that and make sure if you received it for somebody who's deceased, they're going to want that back. And there's a few other situations. What happens if I wait till the 15th to file? Will that affect my ability to get the previous credit amounts? Not at all. It's going to mean it's a longer time until you get it. But that's not going to affect your ability to recover it. So if you need to wait for some reason, it's no big deal one way or the other there. With regard to the timing of the new stimulus money, it comes out in waves. We saw that with the other two rounds of stimulus, and there is no way to get yourself bumped up in the list of the waves. It's just however the IRS is processing it. And I mentioned earlier, if you don't normally file a return, but you didn't get the stimulus and you should have, this is definitely the year to file that return. And what happens? What is the nature of the stimulus money? For the tax nerds out there, it's a refundable tax credit. And basically what that means is if you file in 2020 and you owe some taxes, the stimulus money that you're reclaiming and entitled to will reduce those taxes. And if there's still stimulus money left over after you've paid off the taxes with that credit, the remainder is refundable. It's not income. It's just really, really there to help folks, help keep that economy going. There'll be some changes with this new stimulus on whether or not dependents are eligible. You'll know that last year there was sort of a gap that students didn't qualify for the stimulus checks, but with this new stimulus, they're real people again, and they're going to get stimulus money as well. Do you get stimulus if you lost your job? Well, heck yeah, especially in a situation where your income has dropped in 2020 versus 2019. Definitely eligible and likely eligible for more in that situation. And really, it's trying to, the big picture is what was out there, how does your income compare to the eligibility standards, and comparing 19 and 20, what is the lower income year, and making sure you leave that as the last filed income tax return with the IRS. Sorry, I'm struggling over words here today. So hopefully that helps you think about what you can do to get a little bit more money if you're entitled to it, how the stimulus is going to roll out going forward. Absolutely critical. Make sure the IRS knows how to do direct deposit for you. That's the best way to get your money the fastest. If you've got questions on this or anything financial, please don't hesitate to reach out. Have a financially fun day. Bye-bye.